Hello and welcome to the first official episode of the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. We did it, Jeff.
Yep, we have done it.
We did it. It's officially here. History's being made.
We came up with a name.
And we're on iTunes, maybe.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, no, you handle all that.
Hey, podcasting, turns out, hot scoop here, making a podcast is kind of hard.
You lie. It's just all about talking, okay?
Yeah, I thought
Nothing else is involved.
I thought all you had to do was just buy the microphone, say a few words into it, and you have a podcast, right?
Yep.
I thought so. Anyway, we're here. We're going to talk to you about some video games.
Yep.
What have you been playing recently, Jeff?
Well, if you listened to our last podcast, which would have been about 2 weeks ago we released it or recorded it, I had just gotten the Nintendo Switch. Still have it here in my hands.
We do.
And I love it. I love Zelda. Yeah.
A very unique opinion there, right? I mean, like, everyone seems to hate Zelda, right?
Yes. It's getting all zeros.
Yeah.
On Metacritic, one of the lowest scoring games of all time.
Except for Jim Sterling seems to love it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But no, I played some Zelda 2. Me and Jeff went and saw Green Day last weekend, and the entire ride to Atlanta from here for like 2.5 hours. Something I played Zelda the whole time.
Yep. The battery lasted about 3 hours, people, or a little over. So
that's pretty much the whole trip for me. Especially if we can get a car charger at some point that won't break the Switch.
I don't want my Switch to explode.
Yeah, no one wants that. But Zelda it really seems like a special game.
I agree. And yeah, put in the context of our opinions. Dari's probably played for 4 to 5 hours. I think it's fair to say
something like that. Yeah.
According to the activity log, if you can call it that, on my Switch, I played for at least 30 hours, and the way it works, well, I pretty much played between 30 and 35 hours. So I put a fair amount of time.
So I should probably stop talking unless. How special? Like, does this seem like a Ocarina of Time type of, like? Are we gonna look back at this game as like a truly like a classic that like changed things?
Of course, it's too early to say, but my initial opinion, just because of me playing it and seeing the reception from everyone in the gaming industry and people, other people who played it, I think so. I think may not the exact same thing of Ocarina of Time, because that was just one of those revolutionary type of games.
It was also like kind of a technical, thing at the time.
In some ways, this is not that, just because technically nothing in the game is new.
Right.
Like, is not doing anything particularly new. But I think a lot of people who play could agree, it takes taking a bunch of parts from different open world games, some of which, like maybe weapon durability or stamina and cooking and stuff like that, and just kind of refining it and making it work in the game, and all those parts just work very, very well.
Mm-hmm. That's what it does. Like you said, it's a weird mixture of it. It's things that we've seen in a lot of open world games to this point, not in Zelda games, but in other games. But it just does it in such a interesting way. There's just a sense of wonder when you're in this game. When you feel like I'll play the game for 3 hours. Jeff will play the game for 3 hours, and we have completely different experiences.
Yeah. After you get through the initial area, anything goes. They kind of push you towards a certain direction, or kind of recommend it, I guess is a better way to put it. But yeah, you can do pretty much anything you want once you get out of the area. Just go wherever. We mentioned, you could go to the final boss right away,
which I was contemplating doing, but I only had one car ride to do it, and I kind of wanted to see other things. And also spent about 30 minutes trying to get a horse to let me ride up. Yeah, and he wasn't about that. He was kicking me in the face a lot.
The horses will do that.
Yeah, but Zelda seems to. I mean. There's so many games out right now, and all of them are insanely big. But it seems like you could just play Zelda all year, probably, and be for a large part.
It's kind of a thing, and this is, if you listen to other people who play video games, they would echo this sentiment. They're even before Zelda came out, there's the thing of there's so many games, but a lot of people can play more now because all of them are I don't have time for the games because all I want to do is play Zelda. Yeah. And I'm kind of the same way at this point. Like, whenever I'm not playing Zelda, I'm thinking about playing Zelda for the most part.
Yeah. If I had a Switch readily available, I might be playing Zelda a lot too. But that's not to say I am definitely thoroughly enjoying my time with Horizon, though.
Yes.
It's obviously, I mean, it's obviously we're going to compare these games just because they came out like right back to back and they're both huge games like this. Mm-hmm. But I do think we should be careful with comparing them because honestly, as someone who's played, some of both,
a fair amount of both.
Yeah, obviously only a few hours of Zelda, but they're completely different games. Mm-hmm. They're trying to do two different things. I mean, yes, there's the open world exploration thing or whatever. But when it comes down to like some people say like it's the Zelda world's a lot more fun to explore than the Horizon world, and I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, but that's not the point. Yeah. I mean, because on that same token, I think Horizon's combat is 10 times better than Zelda. But once again, that's not they're different games. They're completely different.
And obviously,
games.
Like Horizon's story is gonna be better than Zelda's because Zelda. The purpose is not a story and lacks one,
right.
But that's not a detriment to Zelda. That's just the way both games are.
Right. But going into Horizon, it's the combat and the story and everything is really good, and I'm a lot more invested in the story and everything than I thought I would be. Honestly, at this point, the thing that grabbed me. Obviously, I was very grabbed by the fact that like what's going on in this world, why they're robot dinosaurs and everything. But the main thing I was looking for is the gameplay, which has been spot on. But as I go from like story mission, even some of the side missions, I've actually been like genuinely interested in it.
That seems to be a common thing with impressions I've seen Horizons. Like, I was looking forward to the story, but didn't have the biggest, or didn't think too much of going in. But yeah, everyone seems to be surprised about the story, and that's just good all around. Yep. So good on Sony. Good on Nintendo releasing these games. Yeah,
very good. And Gorilla, I think Horizon's going to be one of the next big things for Sony.
And we might have proof of that later on.
Maybe. But that's about really the only thing I've been able to play. College sucks.
Oh, no, Darby, there have been 2 other games you have played since our last podcast.
Wait, you are correct. You are correct.
Yes, okay. Since our last podcast, I mentioned we had spring break, that we saw Green Day during then, but before Green Day, we went to the beach with some of our friends, and we took my Switch. And there were 2 games in particular that were, I guess we can say, hits to the group. One of them, I was not surprised about, the game Snipperclips.
Such a fun game.
Yeah. I expected it to be fun, and it was. We even have a guy who in our group who doesn't play games who, I think if we're being honest, probably liked it more than any of us.
I think he was a lot better at it than the rest of us.
Like, he was the one throughout the whole thing was like, hey, can we play Snipperclips?
And he was like orchestrating, like, you go here, let me cut you there, let me do this.
So it's definitely one of those small special games. Like co-op puzzle type games.
Yeah, and if you have a Switch, get this game. And even
it's only $20.
Yeah, and even if you have friends who are not normally into, this is such a fun like party game. It's easy to understand to like get, but then it's actually like it's kind of challenging enough to figure out and to do it. Mm-hmm. And Nintendo really specializes in that party stuff. But the other game was a little more of a surprise for how much of a hit it was.
Okay, I'll kind of set this up as kind of a story thing of, I guess, how this came to be. Okay, so people who may not know, the Switch is, region free, so you can get games from, other regions and play them on your Switch, no problem, unlike other Nintendo consoles. Yeah. But I learned right after I got it that it is really easy to make an account for another region's eShop and download stuff from there. And I heard that there were some demos on the Japanese eShop that was not on the American one. I wanted to give it a try because why not? So I set up the account and I downloaded the Japanese demo for Puyo Tetris.
So like literally, you guys, like, we can't read the menu. Like,
yeah, we have no idea what's going on, but I guess it helps that it's simple enough to trial and error, but it's easy to figure out. Okay, this does this does that, and all kind of stuff.
So for people who don't know, what exactly is Puyo Tetris?
Well, I don't know how to describe Puyo. I didn't really know much it was until I played the game.
Is that just a Japanese thing, or is that here too?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't really look. It's like, but Yeah, obviously Tetris is involved. It's pretty much a mix of the Puyo Puyo thing and Tetris.
And Puyo Puyo is like it's a puzzle type game similar to Tetris.
Yeah, it's mechanics are different. It's four of the little, I guess, Puyo Puyo things got to connect instead of it being a straight line for it to count of the same color.
Yeah,
they gotta be the same color.
I'm kind of like spreading my ignorance of mobile gaming here. Is that like Candy Crush? Or it's like one of those. It's a similar type of thing you've seen, but the reason it's called Puyo Puyo Tetris is as you play, it switches back and forth between.
Or that's a game mode you can do. That was available.
That's the most fun game mode.
There's also the more regular one where you face against someone else, and each player chooses one style, Puyo Puyo or Tetris.
Yeah.
Also, apparently in the full version, there's gonna be a mode where Puyo Puyo and the Tetris blocks or whatever are all going to be on the same screen, and I have no idea how that's going to work, but I am kind of interested.
Doesn't even make sense in my brain, but this was so surprisingly addictive.
Yeah,
because you'll be sitting here, you'll be like we'd be talking about, yeah, my Tetris game's going great, can't we just stay here? Then the timer would run out and you go to Puyo Puyo, it's like, oh god, everything's
then there are a lot of times where you think, okay, I'm doing good, then suddenly someone else is doing good and it messes you up, because when other players do good things like stone blocks and stuff come onto your screen and stops you from going forward or doing better.
Yeah, so it's a lot of that like Nintendo BS that you've got.
Yeah, but it's a Sega game, I think. Yeah. Oh yeah, because it has that annoying Sega jingle at the beginning.
Yeah. All the Japanese voices were very interesting to us.
Yeah. But yeah, also to point out, it's going to be on PS4, I think. I don't know about the other systems it's going to be on. And I believe on most things it's going to be $30, but for some reason the Switch physical version is $40.
Why, Nintendo? Why?
Apparently, I guess it's something different. I think I saw an interview with Reggie or some Nintendo guy. Nintendo doesn't do that. Developers of the games make those prices.
So does it cost more to...
Yeah, apparently it costs more to do the cartridges. The same thing's happening with Rhyme on the Switch. Yeah. So
I hope that doesn't become a thing where like every single game costs more on the Switch.
Yeah. Makes the advantage not as good for the Switch because people will get those kind of games on the Switch instead of the other ones because handheld.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like you said, like Nintendo doesn't decide that, but they kind of do. Like they're the ones that are making the cartridges. They're more expensive. You know what I mean? Yeah. I hope that's not a thing, or they find some way to. Nintendo finds some way to like alleviate that. Yeah, make it cheaper.
Well, luckily Nintendo looks like it's not doing the whole thing of you have to make the physical version the same price as the digital version or vice versa. So, like with Puyo Puyo Tetris, it can be cheaper on the eShop than the physical version instead of they both being the same price. Rhyme's getting more hate, at least from what I've seen so far, because they're making both versions, the digital and physical, the same price. And apparently they don't need to. But yeah, going back to Puyo Puyo Tetris, it was a lot of fun. I'm probably gonna get the physical, or not the physical version. We'll just buy in general. Probably just get on the Switch.
Yeah. And I'm not usually like a puzzle guy at all, but the fact that it's like competitive puzzle like games or whatever, it's very, very interesting concept.
And you can play on teams, which is also interesting. Also, I guess we can mention this real quick. Snipperclips and Puyo Puyo Tetris, we all played it on the Joy-Cons, like an individual Joy-Con, and I think all of us agreed it worked for those games.
Yeah, for that kind of like simple thing, both of those.
Which that's where I've always been. I don't expect it to work for Zelda one Joy-Con, but for those kind of games, like that just means we don't need as many controllers.
Yeah, it definitely won't work for everything. But Jeff bought 2 more Joy-Cons than what comes with it, just so we can do that.
And I was thinking, am I going to regret this? But on the beach, I was like, okay, I don't regret this at all. I'm glad I did this.
It was nice that we could all 4. You just pass out the Joy-Cons, like, all right, here we go. And yeah, it's definitely good. So definitely check out Puyo Puyo Tetris. It's a bizarre game, but you might be surprised.
Yeah. And fun. Since there is a demo in Japan, I think it might be out in Japan. And that's why they had a demo. We might get it here on PlayStation 4 and just the English eShop. So, if you're interested and they do have a demo, I certainly say try it out. Who knows? You might be completely satisfied with the demo, if I'm being honest. That's
what I was looking at. Jeff said there was the real version coming out. I was like, what? Why do we need that? What more can it have?
Yeah. It also has like the way I like to describe it is like a Smash Brothers type mode, just for this, because apparently there are a bunch of random items.
Oh, God.
So random BS, and that just sounds fun to me.
Of course it sounds fun to you. This is the guy, he always wants to play Smash Bros. With items, and we're all like, no.
I like items.
Because Jeff finds a way to get every single item, no matter what, all the time. We can't go into it right now. Anyway.
Let's topic for another day.
So, just so you guys know, again, this is the Nerds at Large Gaming Podcast. We're going to be coming to you every single week. Probably try every single week. Probably on Mondays. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. I think right now you should be able to get this podcast on iTunes and tune in and whatever other podcast services use that. So some podcast services. Mm-hmm. If you don't find us, definitely message us if you want us to be on a certain service that we're not on. Let us know, because we can work on getting that done. We're still in the process of getting all this worked out.
Yeah. We also have a Twitter, so we'll probably have links to some stuff on there.
Yeah.
We don't have a Facebook yet, do we?
We do. I haven't done anything with it, but we have it. Yeah, Twitter's at Nerds at Large, and Facebook's also at Nerds at Large. So check those things out, and let us know what you want from us.
Yep.
So with that being said, let's move into the news. Jeff, what we got?
Okay, first thing, keeping with the Switch stuff, and we're gonna Switch sales. Okay, this comes from Christopher Dring from GamesIndustry.biz. Nintendo has sold 1.5 million Nintendo Switch consoles worldwide, Super Data says. Using data supplied to it by both Famitsu and GFK, Super Data says that 500,000 consoles were sold in the US, 360,000 were sold in Japan, while Europe isn't far behind. The data tracker observes that 85,000 units were sold in the UK, while France managed 110,000. Most of those figures were for the first week on sale, so the numbers will now be higher, or should be higher. Nintendo says it will aim to sell 2 million Switch consoles by the end of March. They said that a while ago. Furthermore, Super Data's data, or estimates, are sell-through, so consoles that went to the consumers are not just what Nintendo has produced and shipped to stores. So that's an important note. Also important to note, 89% of Switch owners have bought the new Zelda game, which is about 1.34 million in sales. That does not count the Wii version.
But you know what the biggest thing that I gather from that?
That some Switch owners are selling a Wii Switch.
Well, I mean, my biggest takeaway is that there's 11%. There's 11% of Switch owners are mad men who are buying the Switch but not buying Zelda.
Yeah,
that doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. Also, cool little fact, I guess, to point out. About a week ago, Nintendo announced the sales in Europe, Japan, and Americas were a record for the first 48 hours for a console. Yeah, for them.
So is it, when they say they're aiming to sell 2 million, is that so? Do we know how many they shipped out? Because I had heard people saying like it was starting to already look like they're going to have their supply problems because it's selling very fast. Like that's 1.5 million in a week when they were aiming for 2 million in a month.
Well, that quote came from the article. I thought I remember saying they were going to ship 2 million. May not sense to be the goal. I may remember wrong. It might be a case of they're shipping 2 million, but they expect to sell them all.
Yeah, if they're only selling 2 million, they're probably gonna run out. That's probably gonna happen very soon. I mean, until they ship more. So, but basically, what this means is it's getting off to a good start.
Yeah. I guess we can talk in a minute about what this may mean, but I got some more information to give out to kind of put some context maybe in all this. This is from Takashi Mochizuki from the Wall Street Journal, who's been known to talk about some of these video game stuff. I know him. I think I remember seeing him talk about NX stuff earlier on.
Oh yeah.
But apparently Nintendo is planning to double production for the Switch console for the first year.
Okay.
So they were planning for 8 million for the next fiscal year, so April 1st, coming April 1st to March of next year, 2018. But they're upping up to 16 million. Okay. So they're doubling production now.
I don't think they'll meet that, obviously. But, I mean, producing is different than selling, but obviously.
Yeah. But this is nothing but a good sign right now.
Yeah, especially Nintendo Nintendo's track record of not having enough
Yeah.
enough out there like they had with the Wii U. Couldn't find Wii's for months.
Yeah.
You can find Wii U's.
Oh yeah.
So that's a good sign. I'm not ready to sit here and say like the Switch is going to be a success yet. Obviously, this is a very good start, but it could.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of things where it's like, okay, this doesn't mean you can't tell right off the bat, okay, it's going to fail, but you can't say it's going to success.
It's good news.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a good start. It's one of those things we got to wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, you got to see how it continues to sell. Is this 1.5 million just the dedicated Nintendo people like Jeff who are going to buy it anyway? Or is this the sign that they're going somewhere with this?
Yeah. I think what also going to help is the great word of mouth for the Switch overall about
and Zelda.
And well, just with the Switch console, just because even though the Wii U had really good games, could have more, but for the most part, people hated the console itself.
Right.
But from what I've seen, people legitimately like the Switch console itself, despite it not having essential features, which should be coming.
No.
So that will help when Nintendo gets all that out, so word of mouth and the fact people will know this exists.
It already seems like it's going down a much better path than the Wii U already. There's so much more positive buzz around this. So,
and I am pleased. I am pleased.
I mean, honestly, my hopes are getting higher than they were before. I'm still concerned, but
still don't expect some major third-party games, the big ones.
Yeah,
but
and I still don't. Nintendo's not really going to be competing with. I don't really think Nintendo's going to be competing with. Definitely not Sony, and probably not even hopefully they can get around. What's Xbox now, like 25 million or something?
25, 30 million, somewhere in that.
It's they haven't really released data, but we predicted to be somewhere around there. I hope maybe eventually the Switch can get that point. Hopefully by the end of the year, I just want them to get around that 8 million point would be nice at least. I hope it's not. If we get to the end of the year and it's like 5 million or something, then be worried. But
yeah, I know someone predicted that. Apparently, I can't remember
for 5 million. Yeah.
But that was before the Switch came out, or like the day of. So
it's too early to tell. I think
it's too early to tell anyway. And anyone who says it's obvious one way or the other, it's like you're just fooling yourself.
Yeah. No one really knows. So we're gonna wait and see, and we will talk about it as it happens. But
yep.
As of right now, we love the Switch right here.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Yeah.
Despite, someone not having it yet. People I can't.
I know someone that has it. That's all. I basically have a Switch, right?
Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way. I'm kind of happy hearing what you're saying because I think it's different than the Wii U. The way you reacted to the Wii U is I like the multiplayer game, but you seem to be more positive about the Switch, and that's just what it seems for people in general.
Yeah, as much as I enjoy, as much as good memories we have with the Wii U, I never felt compelled to buy one because I just wanted to play the multiplayer games. But now I'm actually legitimately interested in kind of having my own Switch. So definitely a good sign. And I'm a skeptical, grouchy dude sometimes.
Plus,
with this stuff, so
you only get to play Fire Emblem now.
Heck yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, we'll move on to the next thing, and it's going to be Horizon sales. This comes from Alex Gilyadov from IGN. Why can't these people just have basic names? Okay, more than 2.6 million units of Horizon Zero Dawn were sold worldwide during its first 2 weeks on sale, Sony announced. And developer Guerrilla Games' open-world role-playing game has now become the best-selling new first-party IP on PlayStation 4 and Guerrilla Games' biggest debut. Sales includes both digital units sold through the PlayStation Store and physical copies sold through to consumers. For comparison, Uncharted 4: A Thief's End sold over 2.7 million units worldwide in just its first week. Guerrilla's managing director, Herman Holst, also revealed that fans should expect add-on content for Horizon in the near future, with the studio already hard at work on an expansion to the story. And just for context, because I said earlier about new first-party IP on PlayStation 4, those include Knack, Bloodborne, The Order 1886, Drive Club, Until Dawn, and The Last Guardian. Right. So it's kind of one of those things to where it sounds impressive when you say that, but then when you look at the list of games, this makes more sense than you would think.
Because that list, really, Bloodborne's the only one that's kind of impressive to be over.
Yeah, even Bloodborne's niche, especially in the beginning. Yeah. So, And
I mean, but still, 2.6 million is it's not something that shakes stick at. And like you compare it to Uncharted did more than that in just the first week, but Uncharted's been around for a long time. It has a big name build up, so I think overall this is there's some PR spin there for 100%.
Like I said, that highest on the news first party IP.
Yeah, but and again, this kind of makes me. The amount of people I've seen online, they're like, I really want to play Horizon, but I'm like neck deep in Zelda right now.
Or some other game, or
Neo.
Neo.
Imagine if Horizon was in a more empty time period. Like, it would probably have exploded even more. Even though Horizon's not hurting, and it's not going to hurt. It's going to be a big deal.
No, it's also one of those things where as long as people feel the same way about it in a couple months during the summer drought, people will... be like, okay, the game. This game is great. First party IP. Boop.
And with how much positive buzz it's been getting, and I'm sure Sony's going to continue to push it really hard. So it's probably going to just continue to sell, just like Uncharted continued to sell steadily.
Yeah. Not again, but I think we can agree they're already planning a sequel for this thing.
Oh, 100%.
Probably forever ago. Like
100%.
This is one of those games where unless it came out and happened to be absolute garbage for some strange reason, that this game was destined to be huge.
Yeah, I mean Sony. They're not idiots. They knew this game was good. And they knew going into it. That's why they pushed.
Sony is usually in the thing of they're good at predicting when a game. They don't. I had a way to say this, but I'm kind of
like predicting a game's quality or like recognizing the quality.
Something or the sale thing, or they don't. I guess they got it right for like Horizon and like Uncharted and those kind of big things, but sometimes they don't exactly get it right in the way like Until Dawn. That's bigger.
Yeah, that should have been pushed a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes they're smart with it.
And sometimes
most of the time
cash
they
in
on
No Man's Sky, which never should have been pushed as much. So like that.
Okay, I think I got my wording right. When they try to push a game, it's normally really good. Like it's normally a good sign, but sometimes they don't push a game enough, like Until Dawn.
Right. So
I'm sorry for that bumbling mess.
Jeff, that's what this podcast is going to be. It's all one giant bumbling mess. It's okay. So Horizon's awesome. Check it out.
Yep. And let's talk about another awesome game called Overwatch.
Yeah.
Not much here. They're just saying the new character Orisa, however you pronounce it, is gonna.
I think we decided Orisa last time.
I can't remember.
Me and you decided Orisa, so that's what we're gonna go with.
Yeah.
It's confirmed.
Yes, it's
official.
Orisa
confirmed.
If Blizzard tells you otherwise, they're lying.
Yeah.
Fake news. Okay, anyway. Orisa will be released fully on PC, Xbox One, and PS4 on Tuesday, March 21st.
Next Tuesday?
Yep, so
Heck yeah.
Yep, 3 days from this podcast. We're recording on March 18th, so yeah.
Yeah. Heck yeah. She looks awesome.
Yep.
We talked about her in the last episode. It's like machine gun type thing with a
bunch of support capabilities.
Yeah.
Apparently she was overpowered at the beginning in the thing they do on PC.
Yeah. I think they're
PTR or whatever they are.
Aren't they all overpowered at first?
I
It
guess.
seems like that until they work it out.
And I don't know the exact thing, but apparently they fixed a bunch of other characters. I think they buffed Winston.
It's about time.
Yeah, apparently.
Well, I think Alex said they buffed Winston, but he still sucks. He's still not that great, but it was like a tiny buff.
Yeah. Apparently they had stats and say he's the least used character, and I believe it. Like, yeah.
I can't, I don't know. Everything he does, it's like someone else does better. Poor Winston. So that would be awesome if you're into Overwatch, which a lot of people are. So some of you probably are. Definitely check her out next Tuesday.
Yep. More reason to go back to the game. I think they're adding some other stuff. I can't remember what it is right now. Okay. Next bit of news. Telltale CEO Kevin Bruner stepped down from his position this week. Bruner helped found the long-running studio, which is best known for developing adventure games based on popular franchises like The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. And I forgot to do this again. This comes from Jason Schreier on Kotaku.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was like, oh, wait, I didn't give credit. Sounds so unnatural. I'm sorry, people. We're learning. This is a learning experience.
We're learning.
Okay. Bruner wrote an email to staff this week. Today I am writing to let you know that I'll be stepping away from my position as CEO of Telltale. We've grown aggressively since Telltale's inception, and now Telltale is bigger than I ever dreamed it would be. There are many possible futures for Telltale, and all of them are exciting and uniquely challenging. The time has come to pass the reins to someone that can better drive Telltale to the next level and realize all the potential that is here. In the letter, Bruner added that he will stay on the board of directors as we transition. So, find the next CEO, I guess. But until then, Telltale co-founder Dan Connors will take over duties of CEO. And I think he was the CEO before Bruner.
Okay.
And Bruner's been the CEO of Telltale since January 2015. The way this reads, I felt like he would have been CEO longer.
Yeah, I was expecting that too. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the thing.
Shake up at Telltale. Yeah. That's I mean,
maybe they'll change their engine.
Yeah, whoever the next guy is, this is Nerds at Large calling you to action. Please, it can't be that. I mean, like, it's been a long time coming.
I think it was Batman. They said was better overall.
But still, everything I've seen, I've seen like footage of the game, and everyone's. I mean, like, it's better by Telltale standards, but everything like Telltale games are really good. I just wish that I don't know.
Yep.
Improve that engine, new CEO. Do it.
We have hope. I think I did hear something that apparently, and don't take this as official information, but I think I heard some things that part of the reason the engine is what it is because higher up people were like, nah. Because I get it because like me and Dari talked about it like off the mic that there's no reason for them to because people keep on buying their games.
The thing is, I can sit here and like say this all I want, but like, in the end of the day, it's a business. They're gonna do what's financially best, and if they have crappy looking games but they keep selling, what's making them drop a ton of money into an engine? It's like they're gonna keep, financially, their business, they're probably gonna keep doing that until it stops selling. So if you really care about the engine being bad, don't buy Telltale games. Obviously, it must not mean enough to me because I still am interested in them, and like it's not stopping me. Well, I mean, I don't buy that many Telltale games, though, honestly, but it's not because of that.
Yeah.
I still want to play Batman at some point, and probably will.
Well, this next bit of news makes me glad I waited on Batman.
All right, well, we'll see.
Nintendo Switch versions of Telltale's Batman and Guardians of the Galaxy series have potentially been leaked, and this comes from Oscar Diaz from GameSpot. And article says, multiple retailers have listed Switch versions of the two episodic games, despite no official announcement from Telltale. UK shop 365 Games and Russian store GameBuy have listed physical versions of both Guardians of the Galaxy and Batman for Nintendo's new console, while US retailer Newegg also has a product page for Guardians of the Galaxy. The Marvel series Telltale adaptation was announced last year for consoles, PC, and mobile devices, but those consoles were not specified. When asked for comment, a representative for Telltale reiterated to GameSpot that Guardians of the Galaxy is slated to premiere digitally in 2017 on consoles, PC, and mobile devices, but did not comment on the possibility of Telltale's Batman game coming to Nintendo Switch. Yay!
So, think you'll get that on the Switch, I'm guessing?
Yep. At this point, it's like, well, I'm going to wait because there's no reason the Switch can't run, whatever that means for the Telltale games.
And that is one market that Nintendo's going to get when it's a game that's not that, when it's a game that's coming to the Switch and the Switch can obviously run it or whatever. Why wouldn't you get it for that?
That's my philosophy. And, like car rides, Telltale Batman, just put in some headphones. That could be a fun one to do. Yeah. Or a Telltale game in general.
Basically like reading a comic.
Yeah. So, and I think I take that comment as, you got us. But I'm not saying anything.
I love that. That makes me laugh so much. Is it going to be on the Switch? Guardians of the Galaxy will appear on consoles, PC, and everyone's like, but the Switch, it'll appear on consoles, PC. I'm like, okay, dude, all right.
Is Switch a console?
Consoles, PC.
But is Switch a console and a mobile device, Bobby?
You got them there. It's both. But that's awesome.
Yep.
If I had a Switch, I would consider getting it on the Switch.
Yeah. I am excited. Okay, next story. This is news about a Rocket League sequel. It's not happening. Or not planned. This article comes from Alex Osborne on IGN. Rocket League developer Psyonix has confirmed it has no plans to make a sequel to its vehicular sports game anytime soon. Instead, studio vice president Jeremy Dunham told Kind of Funny Games via Game Informer that Psyonix plans to continue to focus on supporting the current game's healthy and growing community, as Rocket League has now sold 10.5 million and boasts a player base of nearly 29 million registered users. That latter figure includes PlayStation Plus sales and split-screen players who may not have necessarily purchased the game. Dunham noted that 7 million players were active this past month.
I'm realizing, like, I think all of our brains are just hardwired to be like, oh yeah, we're supposed to have a sequel. Because when I saw that, I was like, oh no, they're not doing a sequel. But then as you read it, I'm like, wait a minute, why would I want to? They could just keep supporting this. Like, as long as they keep adding things like they've been doing, why does it matter? And like from their perspective, you have this game that currently has 29 million users. Why would you want to start over?
No, I think
one of those people that come back.
And of course, it depending on company and game and stuff. But from their perspective, I think Psyonix in particular with Rocket League, it's like, what's the point of making a sequel until it really starts dying down?
Exactly. Like, ride this out as long as it'll keep going. If people are still playing. Then.
Yeah, right now it doesn't seem anytime soon. Like, you still hear, it sounds like Rocket League's still selling.
And they're still putting stuff out. They're still putting out, like, stages or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Maps, stages, something. Racetracks.
And I don't know if you look at the next thing, but there's more to this story then.
Okay.
That may make you happy. And this comes from Jordan Serrani from IGN. A new mode called Drop Shot is being added to Rocket League for free on March 22nd. Nice. Drop Shot will be played exclusively in Core 707, a new hexagonal arena according to a post on Rocket League's official website. The new mode, play with an electrified ball, is won by destroying the floor panels on the opponent's side of the arena, then shooting the ball into the holes that have been created. Another twist in Drop Shot is the ball becomes more powerful the longer it's juggled in the air. Rather than damaging one panel, balls that stay off the ground will damage either 7 or 19 panels, depending on how long it remains airborne. Along the new mode, new achievements/trophies, rocket trails, painted bodies, and more will be added to Rocket League on March 22nd. So, like you were saying, just add this stuff, they'll be fine. Because this will just bring people back.
They're so awesome. Because, I didn't play Rocket League for a long time, and then, like, sometime last year, I was like, oh, what the heck, and I turned it on, and I went to their, like, they had this, like, experimental section. It was, like, stages that, like, weird stages they're working on, basically. It was, like, the mode. And, like, they were all, like, the weirdest but coolest ideas ever that I never would have thought of. Like, these weird stages that have these things going, like, these pillars in the middle of it, or you're doing this weird stuff. And it's, like, they really could have just had this as, you know, just you have your map and it's like different skins on it and go, and they could have just not supported anything else, but they just keep putting out really interesting things with it.
So good for them. I like the way they're doing things. This definitely is one of those things that makes you want to keep on supporting a developer.
Rocket League's definitely like one of the Rocket League has to be one of the biggest success stories
for
of recent gaming for like a small indie project to get this big. It's pretty it's a pretty awesome story they got going on.
Yeah, especially interesting when you consider the fact it premiered on PlayStation Plus on the PlayStation.
I'm not sure if it premiered, but it was at least that was like the big push. That was like an early push for it. I'm not 100% sure about where it premiered.
I want to say it premiered, or if not, it was definitely very early on in Rocket League. Yeah, after it released.
Well, it didn't come to Xbox.
No, that made it. I think it was a big deal, like the Game Awards, like a year ago. That it's coming to the Xbox.
I'm not sure if it was on PC first or whatever, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
But yeah, good on Psyonix. Good for Rocket League. Good for those players. Keep on doing what you're doing. Okay, our next story involves PlayStation Plus and about one of the games that will be on there. And for people who follow, PlayStation Plus, the free game stuff, this is early, but it's just one game.
Yeah.
And this article comes from Jonathan Dornbush from IGN. What is with IGN and these weird names?
I like Jonathan Dornbush a lot.
I know, but yeah.
But yes, that is a strange name.
That's why Greg Miller had to leave. His name was too plain.
Can't deal with this anymore.
Alright. Drawn to Death was a game made by Twisted Metal and God of War creator David Jaffe. Is a third-person shooter, and it will be a part of PlayStation Plus free games lineup when it launches on April 4th. So, yeah, it's one of those games that's launching on PlayStation Plus. Yeah. Jaffe revealed the game's PlayStation Plus status on the PlayStation blog, in addition to revealing 5 new features for the game. Sphinx missions will have players tackling the Sphinx battle-centric riddles, each unlocking weapons or levels. 15 character-focused missions for each of the 6 launch characters will earn players costumes and taunts. Mystery boxes filled with character skins or taunts can be earned for accumulating kills. Climb the tower feature. The launch tower scene will be dark fairy tales. And finally, what Jeffy calls the insane mystery special author. Whatever that means.
Drawn Death seems like the perfect game to be on PlayStation Plus because it's a very weird and kind of creative thing, and I'm not completely sold on it. Definitely not sold enough to buy it on my own.
Yeah.
So that's why this is a perfect thing. Like I'll be able to test it out, whereas I probably never would have before if I had to buy it.
Yeah. What I'm interested in is its visual style, which makes it stand out. Like they even say here, it's an arena shooter with a hand-drawn sketchbook visual look. Which apparently the whole thing is the game takes place inside a high school student's notebook.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. Doesn't necessarily mean good gameplay.
No.
But, looking at it, the game will just be really silly. Because, for example, one of the guns I saw when I just looked at a video earlier was a devil monkey being on someone's back and throwing poop.
Yeah.
I think that's what that was.
That's what we're going for here.
I guess also something important to note. If you don't have PlayStation Plus or you get it after it gets off the service, it will have a $19.99 price tag.
Yeah.
Which,
not bad.
Which is, I guess, good. So
play it this month if you like it. Then
and it sounds like since it's $20, it might have the content to justify the price instead of being a $60 games. But then I just remembered it was originally supposed to be free to play.
Yeah, this game's kind of gone through development hell. It seems like it was like a long time ago is when it was first announced, and it was like going to be free to play for a while, and then there's been several times where they thought it was coming, and then it wasn't, and it's been a journey with this game. So it's interesting to see how it actually turns out. I'm intrigued.
I'm sure we'll be able to try since it's free, and apparently all modes support up to 4 players. So
could be a fun.
Our normal group is that size, so
yeah,
good times. Now we have a game/collection announcement. This comes from Alex Osborne at IGN. Capcom has announced the Disney Afternoon Collection, a 6-game compilation that bundles together an assortment of classic Disney games. The titles featured in the collection include Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2, Darkwing Duck, DuckTales, DuckTales 2, and Tailspin. The Disney Afternoon Collection releases on April 18th and will be available as a digital download on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC for $19.99 US. And all 6 games in the compilation have been visually upgraded with 1080p support and include different filter options that recapture the classic retro aesthetic. Boss Rush and Time Attack modes have been added to each title, and I'm assuming everyone who's listening to this knows what a Boss Rush and Time Attack modes are.
Yeah.
And also, it's going to be adding a rewind feature to make the games more accessible, allowing players to rewind time and recover when they make an error. And an in-game Disney museum is also included, which features concept and character art, as well as music and other content from the original releases.
That's all of that is awesome.
Yeah, these are I vaguely remember playing these games. They're kind of I guess way before my time. Some of them were made like as I was being born.
Yeah, we're pretty young gamers, I guess.
Yeah, because all these games were on the NES.
But I mean, I played like DuckTales and stuff, like retroactively. But one big topic that we'll probably get into as we do this podcast in the future, but gaming has a real big problem with like game preservation. Like it's movies, you can go back and watch old movies and books. You can go back and read old books easily, but if you want to go back and look at like the original, like formative games from a long time ago, it's not always that easy. There's some games that it's just impossible to get, or you have to go dig to find something.
Shell out hundreds of dollars for a NES cartridge. Yeah.
So anything like this that's kind of bringing those old games and letting us see, even if they're not good old games, just anything. If video games are going to be like a respectable medium of entertainment and stuff that like we all look at seriously, this is the kind of things that we need to have. You need to be able to go back and look at the where it started and where it began, and I think anything that makes that easier. And
I also like how they're just adding in a bunch of just bonus features. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but enough to just give you more stuff to do and make it more enjoyable for people, like boss rush and time attack mode. Those are really cool things.
Yeah, that's what some people get mad about, like re-releasing old stuff. But I'm always good with that because I want that.
It's long as it's not ripping up like the $20 price tag for this is. I think it's $20
for that many games. Yeah. It's
and with and all that other stuff and like go Capcom.
Yeah.
And I think these are the same people who did the Mega Man Legacy Collection. Mm-hmm. Like they hinted a while ago they were working on something, and apparently it's this.
Cool.
So for people who play that game, we'll be like, we'll probably find this cool because there was apparently really the collection, Mega Man Legacy Collection, was well done.
Yeah.
So
good on
that's
them.
a good sign. Oh yeah, one thing that upset me about this: no Switch. It's kind of one of those things that you worry about. It's like this game's perfect for the Switch. That doesn't mean all those games are gonna get on there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe in the future, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. Next thing up, we're going to talk about everyone's favorite blue hedgehog, Sonic.
Gotta go fast, Jeff.
Yep. Okay, people who don't know, Sonic this past week had a South by Southwest presentation where they, gave out some information. One of them being that Sonic Project 2017 is now going to be known as Sonic Forces. And they revealed a short little gameplay teaser thing. That's like 30 seconds long. Yeah. It doesn't show much. It's just pretty much what you expect from Sonic, and just running, going through things, getting some rings.
It's Sonic.
Homing attack. And for people who are versed in Sonic and, have played most of the games, some stuff leads you to believe this game's going to be kind of more like Sonic Generations or Sonic Colors, which is one of the two of the more recent Sonic games that people actually like.
Yeah.
So
it's plenty that people don't like.
Yep. And luckily, apparently, those people aren't really touching this game. Like the Sonic Boom stuff, not related to this at all. Luckily. Nice. I guess Sonic Lost World is related to the same people made that, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the type of thing you'll know. I mean, like if you like it, you like it. It's one of those. Yeah. I even liked some of the modern Sonic games when I was a kid. A lot of them, if I revisit them now, they're probably not that good. Yeah. But this kind of seems like a lot of kind of ththose games just with better graphics. Granted, it's pretty. It's really pretty. Yeah. It's much better graphics, but not something I'm really interested in anymore.
Yeah.
But
I played Sonic Generation and liked it a lot, and that was kind of when I was older.
Yeah.
So
I think I did play that some with you, and I think that was pretty good.
Yeah. And it mixes kind of the new Sonic thing and has old Sonic slight levels, but with the fancy graphics and more stuff, which it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And also, this game right now is planned to be released in Q4 holiday season on Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PC, and the Switch.
And the Switch.
So that's probably where I'm gonna get it, unless I hear some technical issues with it, maybe. We're at the point with the Switch. I don't know how where it has to be with technical issues with what games yet.
Yeah,
because all we got is Zelda and indie games.
I would just do your homework on everything.
Yeah. But a game I know I'm definitely getting on the Switch, was also the presentation, is Sonic Mania. For people who do not know, this is pretty much a callback to the old school Sonic games, where it's going to have remixed levels and some new levels that they're making up for the game. The news from the presentation was it's been delayed from the spring to the summer, and it's going to be on all the same systems as Forces is. And they also announced a remix of the Flying Battery Zone from Sonic and Knuckles.
Nice.
I am excited for this game. Honestly, right now, partly because we don't know anything about Forces, and I have more reason to believe I will enjoy it. I'm more excited for Mania than Forces.
Yeah. Probably smart for it to. I mean, I don't know if they did it for this reason, but probably smart to get the heck out of spring and just get as far away from now as you can, because this is the busiest time in gaming I can remember.
I think they just gave the generic PR saying we will make this game the best we can, and with this kind of game, take your time.
Yeah.
All the fans have been kind of waiting for this. We'll take a couple extra months as long as you deliver on this.
Seems like a good summer game anyway.
I unless I'm really messing with my backlog and some other random stuff, I'm probably getting this game pretty soon after it comes out, because it's probably gonna be cheap.
Probably, I would hope so.
And I expect they'll have the content to justify the price and everything.
So is it it's new levels but also old levels? It's kind of
the old levels are remixes. So it has Green Hill Zone, but it's completely different.
Okay. I remember when this was announced. I just haven't, or like when everyone was talking about it, like it had some Sonic Con or whatever.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen much since then.
So I am excited.
Yes, and now we're kind of obliged, right? It's every single podcast from now until the end of time. We will talk about Injustice 2, is what I'm gathering looking at this sheet.
Yay!
Which I'm fine with. Injustice is awesome.
Yeah. Well, we got a little more to Injustice 2 to talk about this time, but we'll get to that.
All right.
First, we'll go with the stuff we normally talk about, new characters and some new gameplay stuff.
Yay.
So it's been 2 weeks since we talked about Injustice on podcast, so there's been a fair amount of stuff. For example, Firestorm has been officially revealed.
Indeed.
And gameplay trailer, and Darby has seen it. And what do you think?
He looks really cool. Another like character with really big range that I think is going to be very annoying to fight against. But he looks really cool. Kind of like who's he remind me? I mean, kind of like Ermac, but there was someone else I was trying to think. There's some of them will come.
Dr. Fate reminds me more of Ermac.
Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is Ermac.
Yeah.
But he looks cool.
Yeah. My main complaint about him, just from what we've seen, is the fact that they're pretty much making him a Human Torch type character.
Yeah.
When technically he's more than that. He has a bunch of other crazy powers they can do.
I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of.
Yeah, I've seen some of it.
Torches.
I might not be pronouncing this right. Just so the DC fans know, this Firestorm in this game is Jason Rush and Martin Stein. And for people who do not know, Firestorm is pretty much two people fusing together.
For all you nerds.
Yep. For all you beautiful nerds.
So, wait, do we know which came first, Human Torch or Firestorm?
I mean, someone knows. I'm bad at dates.
Someone in the world knows.
Yeah. I assume
it's neither of us at this table, but someone knows.
I'm bad at dates.
If you know, yell at us.
Yep.
Just scream out your window.
But that's probably what's going to be happening for people who are not as versed in DC no matter what. Be like, this is a Human Torch ripoff. Yeah,
they'll be like, he was around 20 years before the Human Torch. It's a Human Torch ripoff.
Also, they had another trailer in the Firestorm trailer, which was the story trailer, which I guess I forgot to show you. I don't know if you watched it or not.
I don't think I did, but okay. You can take it away, Jeff. You're fine.
It's not much. I mean, some story stuff. But in it, there are a couple kind of characters being shown off. Green Arrow was officially announced in it.
Dash.
Yes, that's Dash. Green Lantern was, kind of shown for the first time. He's been confirmed for a while, technically, but
we knew he was going.
Yeah. It wasn't officially announced. He didn't have a big part, but people zoomed in. Captain Cold's in the trailer. So he has not been officially announced, but they showed him. So it's all fair game. And while this character isn't new to being announced for Injustice 2, it's just kind of interesting he was in the story trailer. Reverse Flash, which is supposed to be a skin for the Flash, is apparently in the story mode. Which I'm cool with because I can, Reverse Flash is cool, can make different story stuff, and it kind of shows with these special skins, they're okay with putting them in the story.
Yeah, so it's just a skin, right? It's not like
well, when I say skin, I'm forgetting the official name.
The armor type things?
No, it's not the armor. They have an official name for it.
Probably stop talking.
Oh, yeah. Premier character skins. So premier character skins are, it's going to be a different character, but the voice, the dialogue, and everything's going to be different. I mean, they'll still play the same, but yeah, the voice lines will be different, and the voice actor will be different.
Okay.
Maybe not for Supergirl, doing Power Girl.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah. So I'm happy to see that stuff in there, and I'm happy that I pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition, so I get Reverse Flash skin anyway.
Nice.
So for nerds like me, that's cool. And another one, have one of their Watchtower streams this past week, showing off some Swamp Thing and Cheetah gameplay.
Okay.
Which they both looked really cool. Swamp Thing's a lot more long range than I thought he'd be.
It seems like everyone in this game, there's a lot more range than
Yeah.
Everyone seems to have a lot of long range attacks, which I prefer the short over short range. So you guys might mess me up in this game.
Well, I guess the good thing they show off Cheetah, which is the exact opposite.
Yes.
I don't think I watched the whole thing. But I saw nothing in Cheetah that was long range.
She did have some.
I don't think I saw. I can't remember. I was kind of watching it and half paying attention.
Grapply character.
Yes, she's a grappler.
So my thing.
I suggest you watch it, just at least the cheater stuff, because she kind of screams like you.
Okay.
your type of character.
So I'm looking at Firestorm versus Human Torch. All right.
Okay, you do that.
Firestorm. He first appeared in The Nuclear Man #1 in March 1978. Remember March 1978?
Okay, I can promise you now, Human Torch was before.
Human Torch.
I do not believe Human Torch was like in the 80s.
1961.
Huh, that was actually later than I thought. So yeah.
Fantastic Four #1, 1961. So he's like a good bit older.
Yeah.
So, Human Torch ripoff. We can officially say it now.
Deadpool's a Deathstroke ripoff.
Oh, people are gonna attack you, Josh. You're gonna die.
I mean, it's technically the truth. I think the same guy made them. and he made Deadpool a joke. And their names are pretty much the same.
But what a glorious joke it is.
Oh yeah, I agree. I love Deadpool. I like Deadpool more than Deathstroke.
Yes, because you're a normal human being.
Yes. Okay, so also with all this stuff, Injustice 2 went into microtransactions in the game.
Everyone loves those. There's no one on the internet who dislikes microtransactions.
Nope.
Everyone's just gathers around, holds each other's hands, and loves it.
Yeah, they now they're putting out a statement for it on their website. The microtransactions is you purchase something called source crystals. And I'll just read the statement. And you know all it does, and we'll talk about it in microtransactions and stuff.
Go for it.
Okay, source crystals are a new type of currency available in Injustice 2 that are used to purchase cosmetic features for characters. Source crystals can be purchased using real money but aren't required to progress or advance in the game and can't be used to purchase gear or an advantage in gameplay. We value our community and want to be clear. You cannot pay to win with Injustice 2. Source crystals can only be used to purchase cosmetic adjustments to your fighters, premier character skins with no gameplay advantage, and various shaders for character costumes. You can also transform gear with source crystals. Transform gear allows you to apply the visuals of one piece of gear to another piece. For example, if you have a piece of gear with your perfect stat loadout but it doesn't have your perfect look, you can apply the visuals from one of your other pieces of gear to it. After using transform gear, your gear piece will have your preferred stats matched with your preferred visuals. Source crystals offer more opportunities to customize your fighters that won't affect gameplay or game progression. The cosmetic adjustments to your character are for your own personal preference of how you want your fighter to look, and can add details to your character's overall appearance. Source crystals can help you save time in the game as well. For example, once you level a character up to level 20, which I think is the max thing they said, you can use source crystals to level up other characters to 20. This is optional and won't affect gameplay or game progression. And these crystals can be bought on the PlayStation and Xbox One stores.
Yeah, this is one like we've talked about in the podcast before. We'll probably talk about it in the future, I'm sure, because it's a common thing nowadays. I think some people get overly reactionary about microtransactions and stuff. Yeah. It's something like I'm never going to use. I would never use that. I don't have nearly enough money to blow it on like dumb little things in the video games. I buy too many other video games, so I won't use it. But it doesn't bother me that it's there as long as it doesn't affect the actual gameplay.
I mean,
it helps developers make money, and when it's kind of hard to make money in some of these things, and if that,
Yeah, for this thing, for Injustice 2, a lot of people are on a tizzy because fighting game with microtransactions, but it's just more of the fact that it has microtransactions, not what the microtransactions do.
Yeah.
This is all visual. I don't care. It's exactly like with Overwatch. Yeah. If you want to spend your money for this and, so you don't have to spend enough time to get the look you want, okay, fine.
Sure.
Do what you want. I'm not going to do that. You can do that. The developers give you an option. Do it. Now, one thing I'll say I don't like about this is the transform gear thing. You got to use the source crystals for the whole, matching the stats you want with the gear. I wish you could do that without it. That's the only thing I'm like, but it's not a big deal.
So you can't do it at all on your own if you didn't have those.
Based on my understanding.
For me, from what it seems like, I don't really want to do the gear at all. I'd kind of rather just play the base game without any of that stuff. Anyway.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna do the cosmetics of the gear. I'm not gonna.
I'm talking about
I'm not gonna do the.
Yeah.
Well, and this stuff is
the stat stuff. I don't really want
to. And this thing is you get the gear, but you don't get the stats with them.
Right.
the only gear you're getting is only cosmetic, which, yeah, more I'm fine with this, so you don't get advantage.
Yeah. Cosmetic's fine. I just don't want, I don't want to do the stuff that changes your stats. Yeah, I just want to play.
Yeah. So, I'm okay with this. Like I said, I'm okay with microtransactions. As long as it's not like in a competitive game that gives someone an advantage if they do it.
Right.
Like, even in mobile games, I really don't care. As long as the developer's not obviously ripping the people off.
Yeah, as long as, if it's some competitive thing where it's like, oh, that guy's 10 times better than me just because he spent
$100.
$100. He's not actually better than me, he just had more money than me. That's when it's a problem, but...
Yeah. So, yeah.
And as long as there's a realistic... And I mean, like, generally, like, I'd rather microtransactions just be purely cosmetic, but, like, if it's gonna affect something in the game, there needs to be some gameplay way to get the same thing. You know, realistic gameplay way to get it.
I guess also important to point out with Injustice 2's case, you can obviously get all this stuff in the game.
Yeah.
This is just an easier way to do it.
Right.
Though they did say, and I understand the reason when they said it, you can't get gear when doing like couch multiplayer 1-on-1 because then people would like tape the controllers or something so it keeps on going, and they just grind gear. Like, okay, I get that.
Yeah, I get that too.
So yeah, I was worried about it when they said the gear in the beginning, but the other realm has taken all my doubts away about this. I am excited for this game.
Yep.
One of my games looking forward to most this year.
Me too.
Okay, now this next thing is going to be a new segment we're going to try out. And it's going to be right now called the That's Awesome News of the Week. So pretty much it's going to be whatever little news thing that makes you want to say that's awesome.
Some random dumb thing that we find.
Or not dumb thing like...
Yeah.
Or
doesn't always have to be dumb.
Yeah, someone in the gaming community or something doing something just awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be a wide variety. I just said dumb because this one happens to be kind of dumb.
Oh, this one's really dumb.
Yeah, this one's really dumb.
Okay.
Having trouble there, but he's speechless.
It's just so awesome. Okay, I'll just get on with it. Sterling Archer from the TV show Archer is in Rock Band 4. Yeah.
And what song? You could probably take a guess at what song.
If you're an Archer fan, you know. Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins.
Danger Zone.
I don't know much about Rock Band 4, so I don't know if like you can only use Archer on this one song, or you can use them on any song. I don't know how that works.
Well, there's only 2 people in the world who play Rock Band 4, so the chance of us getting one of them listening to this podcast is probably pretty low anyway. So it doesn't really matter. But this also made me and Jeff realize I had not, but like most people, I had not really looked at anything about Rock Band 4. Yep, 4 is the newest, the resurgence one. Good Lord, that game looks awful.
Yeah.
It looks like a PS2 game.
Yeah. Something that disappointed me because I was hoping when I saw Archer they would get his voice actor H. John Benjamin to sing Danger Zone.
I thought that's what it was going to be.
Yeah, apparently it's not. It's just his model singing along to it, which is still cool, but...
It's cool, but it also looks pretty... I mean, it's obvious that they just took the animation from the guy before and just replaced the skin with Archer. Yeah. It doesn't look very natural. Like, he's just kind of like... It's one of those things, it'd be fun for a second, but that's about it. So at least go look at it. It's fun. It's funny. Yeah. But we need Archer in, like, better things. We need Archer in more video game stuff. Like, he needs to make some random appearance and things. Archer for Smash Bros. Confirmed.
Get on it, Sakurai. Or do whatever you want.
Or he just needs to jump in randomly in the fractured butthole. Just like randomly swing in there and shoot someone.
He's a summon.
Yeah. That'd be great.
Get on it.
There's some sort of rights issue probably or something. I don't know.
I mean, they gave him the rights to the Rock Band people. Yeah. So anything's possible. Okay, we probably spent too long on this.
A minute and a half, probably way too long.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's it for the news, right?
Yeah. I mean, next thing's kind of news, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, every episode we're gonna try to have a main topic, and we're still trying to figure out what exactly it's gonna be. Sometimes it's gonna be a big news story that we want to go into deeply. Sometimes it'll just be some broad thing about gaming that we have opinions about, and then sometimes it'll just be some fun other thing that we think of. This week it's a news story, and it's something I was very, very interested in when I saw this, and it kind of spurs a bigger conversation. Do you want to introduce what we're talking about?
Okay, well, next month, I should have looked up the date, don't know exactly when, but a little game called Outlast 2 will be coming out. And the story is, Outlast 2 has been refused classification in Australia by the Australian Classification Board, which pretty much means it is banned.
Yeah, like it's not, unless something changes, it's not coming out in Australia.
Yeah. And the story comes from Luke Riley from IGN. Outlast 2 fell afoul of classification guidelines due to a rape sequence during a cutscene in the game viewed in first person. And just so people know, we're not going to go too deep into like what the scene is, because partly spoilers and part of it is actually kind of gruesome. Like,
yeah, very violent.
This is a family show. But yeah, if you want to read the whole thing, I guess what was in the classification thing, you can go to Kotaku. Yeah. They have the whole. That's the main one I know that has the whole thing written out.
Right.
But carrying on with the article. The event occurs amongst a group of gray-skinned humanoid creatures involved in what appears to be a ritualistic orgy. The board notes that such depictions of implied sexual violence cannot be accommodated within the R18 plus category, so the game must be refused classification. Despite explaining earlier in the report, the example detail does not represent an exhaustive list of the content that caused the computer game to be refused classified. That read weird. Additional point remarked that the board is of the opinion that without the depiction of implied sexual violence listed above, the game can be accommodated within the R18 plus classification. The R18 plus rating in the Australian guidelines for the classification of computer games imposes virtually no restrictions on themes and language, and it also permits high-level violence, drug use, simulated sex, and nudity. However, no Australian game rating allows for visually depicted sexual violence or for the association of incentives or rewards for controlled drug use. And naturally, Outlast 2 isn't the only game who's had trouble getting in or has gotten banned.
Yeah.
In 2013, Saints Row 4 and State of Decay were refused classification for featuring prescribed drug use related to incentives and rewards. And South Park, The Stick of Truth was refused classification for featuring visually depicted interactive sexual violence. Yes, it did. All three games were edited and were released in Australia. And I'm just going to throw that out there. If you haven't seen it, go check out what South Park did. It's hilarious for it. In 2015, Hotline Miami 2 was refused classification in Australia due to an implicit rape scene that the classification board determined could not be accommodated within the R18 plus rating. Devolver Digital opted not to officially release the game in the country. And one final one gonna bring up is the 2011 Mortal Kombat. It was originally banned because of high-impact, gory violence, but the complete edition was later rated R18 plus in 2013 after that rating was introduced. So the R18 plus is apparently a recent thing for Australia.
Yeah. So Australia obviously has kind of a history of, they're a lot more strict with their game ratings than we are in America. There's a lot of games that have passed certification in America that, like Outlast 2, that have not, and that didn't make it in Australia. And this kind of brings a broader discussion that I feel it doesn't have the clear answer we would like for it to, about what we should do with the games, what we should do with censorship in games and everything, and when it's too far, and what's the proper course of action there. I am generally on the side of, even if it's something you don't like or something that seems bad or whatever, I'm for not taking things down usually.
Yeah.
I think that banning something is very serious, kind of like censoring art, basically. Like you're censoring an expression of art in something. I think that should be taken very seriously and reserved for the harshest of circumstances, and when something really needs to.
Yeah, I guess for example, I'm pretty much of the same mindset. If they made these right things, this is a great thing. the people was kind of making him trying to say like all this stuff is good.
Yeah.
Like that, like rape's okay. Like that's what the developer's trying to push. That's okay. Yeah, ban that.
Yeah, and the thing is, it can be bad and distasteful, and you can not like it and everything. I read the scene, and it sounds legitimately disturbing to me. Like everything that was done in there, but at the same time, we get to the crossroads of like I read Game of Thrones. Like I read all the Game of Thrones books, and there is constantly rape in that book. Like there's people raped all the time. There's horrible sexual violence acts. Berserk. Like there's people like Alex watch Berserk. Horrible stuff happens in there and everything. But we don't really talk about banning those. But video games, because of the interactivity of it, I guess I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Like the old thing, like Grand Theft Auto making our kids gangsters.
So where do you stand on that? Do you think that video games should be governed in a more strict way because of their interactivity, or do you think it should be looked at as we look at movies and other forms? Like where do you stand in that? Or where's the line in your opinion?
I really don't think it should be that really strict. Like just because it's not real. I think anyone knows that, and I think though they should make it like these ratings systems make it clear. Like, hey, this is in the game, or developers make like this kind of thing. Hey, this kind of stuff is in the game because some people find that disturbing. Just kind of like with stuff that would give you seizures. Not exactly the same thing, but just that kind of thing. Just let people know, and then like if they're, I know parents wouldn't let their kids do it, but just kind of the general sense of parents should kind of pick out maybe what their kids are going to do, or let kids know like what's okay maybe and what's not. But yeah, I've never really bought the whole thing of we should be stricter with video games because other than movies and books because it's interactive. It's still fiction. When
it comes down to it, it's kind of like parents taking their kids to see Deadpool or something and being like, why was this like, I didn't think it was going to be like this. Well, the movie's rated R. You should know not to bring your kid to it. And it's the same thing. The game's rated M, and on the back, as long as the company has done their job to make sure it's known, there are acts of sexual violence in this or whatever. Yeah. I don't think it's the company who made the game's job to create something that, you know what I mean? To create something that's, it's an artistic expression. The game's not out. We haven't played the game. We don't know. This might really be something messed up.
Might be even worse than it reads.
Yeah, it might have no business being in there, or it might be something that's part of the story that conveys something in the story that would be lost if you didn't have it. We don't know that. But when it comes down to it, I think that you kind of need to have the onus on yourself to decide whether something is, whether something is right or not. And I think it's a very, everyone uses the term, but I think it honestly is a slippery slope when you start banning things. And I would, obviously we're not Australian, we don't know much about Australia's culture and everything, so I can't just say that they should be like us in America or whatever. But I look at a lot of things in Australia and these games that were banned that we just read off, and I hope we don't get to that point. I'm glad we're not. Yeah. And I'm worried that once you start banning things like that, it gets a lot easier the next time. It's like, let's look at the precedent. We banned that or whatever. Oh, well, this is showing something similar. Let's ban that. And then the next time it'll be like, oh, well, this is wrong, ban that. This is wrong, ban that. And next thing you know,
we only have Nintendo games.
Yeah, next thing you know, everything's just Mario, bright and colorful, and it's the only world.
It's all part of Nintendo's long con.
Yeah. But also that being said, there's been other games. There's been games that have, like, in the game, like there was some, like, I don't even know the name of it, and I don't even know if I want to look up the name of it, 'cause I don't want to give it any more press or like publicity. But there's been like some Japanese games where you literally, like, what you do is rape someone, and it's like that is the game, and that's why I can't say that I'm completely against it.
Yeah,
I do think there's a time and place.
Well, like I said, as long as it's not like glorifying like that type of action, I think if it does that, yeah, ban it, because no one needs that.
Yeah,
like no one should legitimately play this. But yeah, if it's something like this where it's obviously like, okay, this is bad, but it's part of our vision for the story. But again, saying it's bad, I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But just make it clear again that it's in here so people know if like they're not okay with it.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things I think we have to get over. I feel like part of the reason, things like this get banned, we have to stop looking at video games as if it's like, oh, the kids are going to see this and it's going to be bad or whatever. You don't look at that with movies. You don't say we shouldn't make an R-rated or like mature movie because kids might see it.
Yeah.
Because you know this is a kid's movie and this is a adult's movie. Why can't we do that? Why can't we do that? The gaming industry knows that.
Yeah.
Like the people close to it. But I think there's people outside of this that still have a say in this kind of thing, and like companies and all that.
I think it's the whole thing of into society at large that still thinks video games is for children.
And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We gotta get, there's a place for that and there's a place for not, and parents need to be more strict if they need to about following the ratings and these things.
I mean, I played No More Heroes when I was pretty young. I turned out okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a thorny issue. It's yeah. I mean, do you have any other thoughts about?
Not really. I guess I'm interested to see what maybe Outlast 2 devs do about it.
Yeah.
Like, will they change things or just be like, nah, and not really? Because depending if it's like a big part of the story, they may be like, or a turning point or something, or they may be like, no, this is a big part of our game, this is part of our vision, so nah, we're not going to change to.
It'd be a strong statement. I mean, like, again, I need to see it, so everything I'm saying is kind of like without knowing the full context of it. But
again, I don't know the Outlast devs. I don't know how they feel about this, because last I saw, they haven't really given a statement. But at the same time, Outlast was successful. They're not exactly the biggest studios. I mean, like, we want to make money, so we'll take this part out.
Yeah.
Or they'll take some, or they'll do a funny picture like South Park.
That's also a slippery slope. It just gets to the point where it's like, it's Australia just dictating what your content's going to be like. And does that dictate it for us? Are we not going to get things because Australia?
There might be some developers may be like, well, if we do this, we can't sell in some countries. We have to change it anyway. And
I think that
this technically does not need this, so yeah, we'll just take out this whole thing for everyone.
And I don't think that's right either.
No.
I mean, I think that happened like Fallout. There was like morphine use or something. And Australia banned that, so they just took it out of everything.
They didn't take it out. They just changed the name of it.
Or they changed to, or is that what MedX become?
Yeah. I saw it earlier. Yeah, so I don't play Fallout.
Changed to MedX. I have it pulled up here.
Yeah,
and I mean, and that's another thing. It's like, okay, it says MedX instead of morphine. It's the same thing. It's
the implication.
But we have no problem with this in movies, but we have a problem with it in games. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. The playing field needs to be level in that regard. Mm-hmm. And like part of it is people have to look at this industry more.
Yeah. Again, that's what you said. For the people who have a problem with this, is the fact you interact with it. And for some reason, they're thinking children and I guess people who play video games are smart enough to tell the difference. Like, hey, this is fake. Hey, this stuff that's bad in real life.
I mean, if you're a kid and you go out and play, if you're like a kid or teenager and you go out and play Outlast 2, see some rape scene or something, and say, "Oh boy, rape's good. Let me go out and rape people." I'm sorry, that was probably it's the same thing. Movies don't make you do that. Video games. I mean, like, I'm not saying it's not good. I mean, this disturbs me. Reading that scene is disturbing, and it doesn't make me excited to go out and play Outlast. Yeah. I kind of, just from the preliminary reading, I kind of wish we didn't do that. But you can't, I mean, like, people in these games, we go out and shoot. I've killed millions of people in video games, but I'm not going to go out and kill someone because I'm a sane human being.
In Zelda, you just go around killing goblins that are usually minding their own business. You just go and murder them for their stuff.
Link is we've talked about this. Link is a mass murdering, like, psychopath. Those goblins aren't
doing... He doesn't even say a thing. He just stares at you like and stabs you.
He just comes into this foreign land, runs around with a sword, killing all the locals who are just sitting there trying to have a campfire.
Yeah, that's kind of a thought about the whole Outlast thing. It's a different discussion. Maybe we can talk about it later. I'm interested to see how YouTubers react to it. Just for the sake of Outlast was a big YouTuber game, like with that in it, especially since this is getting some publicity, like
That's
how that we had to help people play.
That's another thing. People in Australia, they can't play the game, but those same kids who you're not letting play the game could just go on YouTube and find it. Could find streamers playing the game. What's the difference?
I think they get more to play in Australia.
Or is he banned?
No, he might. His hair was pink once.
Well, can't have this.
Yeah.
I'd be really interested to see how people in Australia feel about this, because the thing is, people there, they've grown up with this. That's just how it is, and from just little things I've seen in the past, a lot of Australians aren't like. It's more Americans who are like kind of outraged, quote unquote. I'm not saying I'm outraged. I have opinions about it, but I see more Americans talking about Australian censorship than Australians, which is very interesting.
I think I saw a handful of people kind of like just annoyed with the South Park thing, but then they were kind of more careful when they saw the funny pictures.
Seriously, go look at that. It's so funny. So it'll be interesting to look at. Also, Alana Pierce at IGN, she's from Australia. She's an awesome reporter at IGN, and she was tweeting about this. I think she'll probably make a video about it at some point. So definitely go check that out with her, because I'll be looking at that, because I want to hear an Australian perspective on this. And I'm just interested to see, I just don't want this to become. I'm worried about this becoming a trend if this type of thing happens more and more, because I just think censorship of any kind is problematic.
Yeah, and as graphics get more realistic, they might be a little more harsh on certain things that they weren't harsh on before.
Yeah, and I just think if you're against something, advocate against it. But I don't agree with silencing things. Mm-hmm. If you don't like that Outlast has a sexual violence scene, even if it's like part of the story or whatever, and it's depicting it, that's fine. Don't play Outlast. Tell your friends not to play Outlast. Do whatever you want with that. But I don't think not letting it come out is the answer. On a broad scale, again, I need to see it. But
yeah. That will be interesting to see. Maybe even potentially. Again, we're talking about Australia, but it'd be interesting to see how American audience in general view it, because while we're perfectly okay with violence,
that's usually our hiccup is sexual stuff.
So. Again, might be interested to see how we Americans react to it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the video games spawn conversations like this. Kind of more deep moral conversations, because as this, it's a pretty young industry in the grand scheme of things, but it's growing up and it's getting into this, space where we can have these conversations, and I'm interested. I want to continue having them.
Yes, indeed, and we will.
We will continue having these conversations next week.
Maybe. No. I don't know.
We'll probably have something go out next week.
Yeah. I guess so people know, our plan at the moment is, Darby's going to be out of town next week, so we might, right after this, record an episode just talking about us in general in games, maybe a couple other stuff thrown in to post next week.
Yeah, a lot of you probably don't know us, so you're like, who are these random guys? Why should I listen to them? I don't know. Why should they listen to us, Jeff? I don't know.
Probably shouldn't.
Probably shouldn't. But you did anyway.
Yeah. If you made it this far.
If you're still on the fence on whether you want to listen to us or not, check out next episode. Maybe hear a little more about us and our experience with video games, what they've done to us in our lives, and
our taste.
Yeah, our taste.
Whether you should trust us when we talk about certain games.
Yeah. So this was the first ever episode of the Nerds at Large. First official. We've done some tests, but this is the first official Nerds at Large gaming podcast. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yep. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Let us know any other things you want to see us do.
Yep.
Check us out on iTunes, Twitter at Nerds at Large, and YouTube.
Yep. And we should have a Facebook thing soon.
Yeah, soon.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.